Imagine yourself walking through the grocery store. You see many types of food. Some you love and some you hate, and even some you just can't live without. You make your purchase and you go home. You prepare your food and you take a nice big bite. You chew, you swallow. I'm willing to bet you were completely unaware that there is a 70% chance or better that what you just ate is actually toxic. Genetically modified organisms. They have invaded our food supply, our homes, and altered our life expectancies. Although they are banned in most of the world, they are celebrated here in the United States. Most of us are ignorant to what GMOs are, what they do, or what their negative effects could be. We begin our story with a scientist. The scientist says, "Hey, how great would it be if we invented a way to grow corn that is resistant to pesticides and herbicides? While we're at it, let's make this corn grow really fast. And put some antibiotics in there. It'll keep the feedlot animals from getting sick. And hey, while we're at it, I bet we can make them grow really fat really quickly." This is where genetically modified organisms were born. Scientists took parts of organisms and injected them into the DNA of other organisms. For example, we now have potatoes with bacteria genes. We have super pigs with human growth genes. We have fish with cattle genes. And we have tomatoes with flounder genes. Monsanto says, "Hey, Mr. Scientist, that's a great idea. Make it, our lawyers will patent the seeds, and then we'll sell them to farmers." Monsanto then says to the farmer, "Hey, buddy, we're going to buy all your crops as long as you use these seeds. You're going to be able to grow tons of corn. No need to worry about those pesky bugs and weeds anymore. We've got it all under control." There is so much corn. People 100 years ago would have never thought so much corn could grow in such a little space. They would have been lucky to harvest 20 bushels in a year, and now, whoa, a farmer can produce 200 bushels in a season without any problems. Now, the corn is sold either to a processing company or a feedlot. At a processing company, the corn is used to make all of your favorite foods, and even some other goods you probably wouldn't expect. If you go into a grocery store and pick up a package of anything, it is almost guaranteed to contain either genetically modified corn or soybeans, if not both. Currently, up to 85% of U.S. corn is genetically engineered, as are 91% of soybeans and 88% of cotton. It has been estimated that upwards of 70% of processed foods on supermarket shelves, from soda to soup, from crackers to condiments, contain genetically engineered ingredients. Genetically engineered corn is used to feed cows, pigs, and chickens. It can be engineered to make animals grow faster, keep them from getting sick, and gain more weight than they have been able to gain previously. Now farmers can produce more meat in a much shorter amount of time. 75 years ago, a steer was slaughtered between the ages of 4 and 5. Today they are slaughtered between 14 and 16 months old. After slaughter, the animals are processed and sent to a store near you. So as you can see, GMOs have weaved their way into nearly everything we eat. If you go to the grocery store, you buy GMOs. If you go out to eat, you definitely eat GMOs. And if someone makes you dinner, guess what? You're eating GMOs. Someone is making a lot of money, right? The development of GMOs sounds incredible in theory, but let's look back over the process again. Monsanto and similar corporations have become the overlords of our diets. Farmers are forced to overproduce so that their crops are cheap. They have turned our farms into factories. If a farmer signs a contract for GMO seeds, they are within the grasps of the corporation. If they don't do everything exactly the way the corporation wants them to, they will be sued. If a Monsanto farmer is found to be growing crops that aren't from Monsanto seeds, they get sued. If a farmer saves any leftover seeds and grows them the following season, they will get sued. If a farmer isn't growing GMO crops, Monsanto will come and test their farm. If by chance pollination or wind seeding has brought a Monsanto seed to their property, the farmer gets sued. Monsanto's goal is to become the only seed supplier in existence, and they are well on their way to achieving their goal. Since GMO plants are grown so quickly and produce so much more than they should, soil is becoming stripped of its nutrients. Soil planted with GMO crops for extended periods of time can become completely sterile. Also, GMO plants are diminishing our crops' biodiversity. Many plant species are becoming extinct due to contamination with GMO chemicals. GMO plants are also spreading into places they were never meant to be. As much as 2% of organic crops are actually genetically modified due to pollination and wind seeding. Also, bugs and weeds are becoming resistant to the pesticides and herbicides, and we now have species of superbugs and superweeds that cannot be contained. GMOs have done extensive damage to our quality of meat. The first issue is the rate at which these animals grow and the size that they become. The animals are growing quicker than their bones and internal organs can keep up. A chicken fed GMO corn is likely to barely be able to walk, if at all. These animals are very weak and very sick. The second issue is that our meat now contains much more fat and much less lean muscle. As a matter of fact, not all meat is meat anymore. Studies conducted on Burger King, McDonald's, and Wendy's hamburgers nationwide have shown that 93% of the tissue that comprise the meat is derived from corn. If the meat we are eating is mostly fat and corn that is engineered to make whatever is eating it fatter, it's no wonder America is currently facing an obesity epidemic. It is important to remember that we are eating what these feedlot animals are eating. Corn has become modified so that it contains antibiotics to keep these animals from becoming sick. But what has happened is the bacteria that antibiotics were designed to fight off have become resistant to the treatments and are now incurable. What this means for us is we are being introduced to illnesses that were never meant to exist, and since they are resistant to treatment, we are all at a greater risk of extensive health effects. E. coli 0157H7 is a pathogen that has only recently been discovered. Cows who are not meant to eat corn harbor this bacteria in their stomachs. When cows eat grass, their stomachs have a neutral pH balance. In previous years, the bacteria would get killed off by the acids in our stomachs. Now, the digestive tract of the modern feedlot cow is closer in acidity to our own, and now acid-resistant strains of E. coli have developed that can survive our stomach acids and go on to kill us. By acidifying a cow's gut with corn, we have broken down one of our food chain's natural barriers to infection. Traditionally, all beef was grass-fed, but in the United States today, what is commercially available is almost all feedlot beef. The reason? It's faster, which means it's more profitable. Studies have shown that allowing a corn-fed cow to eat grass for 5 days can diminish 80% of all the E. coli bacteria found in its stomach. However, with the industrialization of our agriculture industry, these cows will never have the opportunity to eat grass. One of my biggest fears is that GMO technology is relatively new, and we haven't had the time to observe their long-term health effects or the effects on future generations. It was developed in the 1980s, which was only 32 years ago. New crop and animal mutations are being developed every year. When do scientists research the long-term effects of their modifications? The FDA didn't approve GM foods until 1992, despite researchers' warnings of hard-to-identify health effects, allergies, toxins, and nutritional issues. Recent studies on lab animals have shown connections to cancer, infertility, immune problems, accelerated aging, faulty insulin regulation, and changes in major organs in the gastrointestinal system. These changes can be seen in the offspring of the lab animals as well. There have also been links to the behavioral disorders such as autism or ADHD, and people who suffer from these conditions are often encouraged to follow an organic diet. Over 40 countries around the world have elected to ban GMO foods because of the potential dangers to the environment and to our health. So the question is, why are they still so celebrated here in the United States? Genetically modified organisms. What started out as a great idea has now become quite the monopoly. This new technology threatens our nation's farmers. It depletes our farmlands. It continues to ruin our quality of meat. It makes us fat. It creates lethal illnesses that we cannot cure and causes health effects ranging from allergies to cancer. Why have 40 countries banned this Frankensteinian invention, but America has not? Someone is making a profit. The best way to keep yourself safe is to monitor the ingredients in the food you purchase. If you cannot pronounce the ingredient, it is genetically modified. If the sticker on your fresh produce begins with 8, it is genetically modified. Always search for sticker numbers beginning with a 9, as this indicates organic. Stop feeding the beast.